one day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, and you do something about it, because you can.
This story comes to us from KSAT out of San Antonio, Texas. Monday marks 3 weeks since a state trooper shot and killed Luis Navarro, 37 years old, in Converse. A witness video obtained by KSAT has raised questions about whether the use of force was justified.
Warning: some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Close perspective of a split-second decision. This witness video we acquired starts 3 seconds before a trooper shoots 37-year-old Luis Navarro. You can see Navarro pointing to the woman next to him and the trooper yelling at him to get on the ground. After a single gunshot, the video shows Navarro dropping to the ground, tossing his shirt to the side.
A witness statement is, quote, "I don't think the cop was in danger of his life. I understand that the guy wasn't obeying his commands, but I don't believe that shooting him right in the chest helped the situation." It's according to a witness. Never does. In a statement shared with KSAT earlier this month, Navarro's family said they wish the trooper had used less force, and that's the wish of a lot of people that interact with cops. Videos show an unnamed trooper shooting 37-year-old Navarro. DPS, or Department of Public Safety, said Navarro died at the hospital. DPS has a policy outlining when its officers should use force, whether that's verbal or physical. Quote, "This is silliness to have that, to where you had to go through all of that to get to these," says Kevin LaChapelle, former police officer and criminal justice professor. He goes on, quote, "This stuff should be public information. It's typical policies." Daniela Ibarra, a journalist, asks, "Why are policies like this important?" And LaChapelle responds, "That's what guides the department, and that's what the department uses to hold its officers accountable to abide by these policies." Yuck, yuck, yuck. He goes on, but the policy also has to give judgment on the part of the officer. According to DPS policy, any use of force should be reassessed throughout the incident and should be discontinued when circumstances change so that the use of force remains objectively reasonable. It's something that is not black and white, explains LaChapelle. Now, DPS and the witnesses said before the trooper pulled his gun, he tried shocking Navarro with a taser, but it was ineffective. LaChapelle, our criminal justice expert, says the taser is definitely a de-escalation tool, and that is going to heighten the sense of anybody. Now, the video that they have shows Navarro holding his arms out in front with a t-shirt balled in one hand and pointing at a woman next to him with the other. DPS has not answered KSAT's questions about if Navarro had a gun on him. They're not going to answer that. The trooper can be heard yelling at Navarro to get on the ground. Now, LaChapelle said it didn't look like the suspect was advancing towards him. He was upset. He had a t-shirt balled up in his hand. The only thing I can remotely wonder is if the officer for some reason thought he had something wrapped in the t-shirt. But you can't make that assumption in their investigation. And cops always assume that. What do you got? What do you got there? My purse? DPS said the incident started about 20 miles away at New Braunfels. The trooper tried to pull Navarro over for a traffic violation, but DPS said he led the trooper on a high-speed chase, which ended in Converse after DPS said Navarro crashed into another car. Now, DPS has a policy outlining when troopers can chase someone, and the policy states that troopers must weigh several factors before beginning or continuing a pursuit, including the crime the suspect is being chased for and the driver's actions. Strong consideration on abandoning a pursuit should be given, especially if the suspect's identity is known, because later apprehension can occur and there's no immediate threat to the public safety other than the threat created by the offense of evading. If that's the only threat is evading, they usually cut the pursuit. That's according to policy. Navarro had an arrest warrant for his arrest according to Bexar County Jail. Bexar County. and the Criminal Investigation Division. Now, an indictment obtained by KSAT shows Navarro was accused of pointing a gun at a family member in December of 2019. Bexar County court records show Navarro had a dozen charges in the last 2 decades. Records show he was found guilty of 2 misdemeanors, including theft and terroristic threat of a family or household. Knowing all that, do you believe that the policy was followed? Asked Ibarra, the reporter. LaChapelle says, yeah, I don't see any violations of policy at all. There we go. The issue still is that, yes, you have somebody that has a known propensity for violence, Navarro. You have somebody that fled the police, and you're wondering, what are they fleeing from? Could there have been another crime that was committed? What they were worried about. That's what the cop was worried about. What's going on here? KSAT has requested the trooper's body and dash cam footage. DPS has asked the Attorney General's office to allow them to withhold it until their investigation wraps up. Of course they did. They don't want to give you this camera footage of this cop shot this guy, and I imagine he was unarmed. I'm gonna bet a shiny new nickel he didn't have a weapon on him. He had a balled up t-shirt and he was pointing at a woman next to him. Pissed off about something. I don't know what. But as this guy says, our expert says, the cops have to reassess as they go. They have to hold on a minute. They have to use the same use of force. And that's where Riverside County Accountability got hemmed up. That's kind of where he got to the position he's in. Because when the guy got pepper sprayed, you see later he falls back on this hill, this dirt mound, and he's like doing this, and he's probably got pepper spray in his face. River walks up on camera, leans over, and psh, the second time, while the guy was sitting on the hill mound. And people can get upset at me all and criticize me for accusing him of being wrong, but that's how, we always say that of cops. Hey, you should use reasonable amount of force. Why did you do that, cop? And then here's this Riverside County Accountability. The guy fell back on a mound and he's like, ooh, I got pepper sprayed. He walks up and pepper sprays him again. And everybody's like, well, hold on a minute. We're going to justify this. No. We don't let cops get away with it. We're not going to let him get away with it. And the relation there, what I'm making here is that here's a cop who's chasing this guy, boom, boom, crash. Guy's got a t-shirt in his hand. He tases him. It's ineffective. So what does he do? He shoots him. Instead of what he should have did was reassess, stop for a minute, say, okay, he's got a balled up t-shirt. I don't know what's in the t-shirt. We're going to hold on a minute. Hey. No, he just shoots him. Same thing with that airman in Florida. Gun pointed at the ground. He's like this. The cop goes, you got a gun. Man, that was close. Close what? To him shooting the floor? So that's what this really is all about, is the use of force here. Was it necessary? Was it excessive? Should the cop have stopped him? And I get it. People are going to say, look at the human element. Adrenaline, heart rate. Your mind's going, whoa, your brain is swimming. I get that. And that's where this cop found himself, was in the middle of that. Adrenaline, heart rate, blood pressure, oh my God. But when you're in the position of a police officer and lives matter, I don't care what anybody says. I'm not talking about cop lives, I'm talking about human being lives. Officers, you have to slow your breathing, slow it down. You don't always have time. I get it. Somebody pulls a gun and you know it's a gun and they click the hand. You got to do what you got to do. I get it. You want to go home. Any one of us would. But here's a guy with a balled up t-shirt pointing at a woman. He gets shot. Airman in Florida, point at the ground. The cop should have been like, oh, he's not pointing it at me. Better training, better education. Who knows?